friends, this is JilliBling. Today's project is something a little bit different just because usually I like to do fancy cards and I tend to overload them a bit, but I love it. But today's project is something that's been sitting on my desk for months. Ever since this catalog came out, I love this designer paper. And I guess I was stumped because each sheet is a work of art in itself. And without just pasting it onto a card, how do you really take advantage of all of that beautifulness on one sheet? And another thing is I like to do projects that are ones that I could bring to class. And so I need like 20 or 30 sheets of one particular design. And that doesn't happen with this pack, but there's no denying how pretty this paper is. So, finally had a few minutes and I just looked at the pack of paper and I'm like, what can I do to do the right thing to really capture the beautiful paper? And this is it. So the paper and the cards are a little bit simple, but that's okay because the paper is so pretty. So that's going to be today's project. And we will be using unbounded love and dies for the words, because on each of these projects there is simply word, few embellishments, and then that's it. On some of them I did a little bit of watercoloring. You know, let me back up just a minute and show you the difference besides the word label and the embellishment. But let me show you the difference in all of them so you'll just have ideas of what you can do. This one I added a little dragonfly. Of course, these in color dots. I used a little bit of older ribbon. And if you notice, you can use different color cardstock for the base. And it's a very simple fold. And each one of them has the crumb cake backer here on the inside and then also on this front panel. And all of them have 3 cut pieces of the designer paper. This size, 2 3/4. And I'll go through all these cut sizes in just a minute. Then this little strip, which continues the pattern, and then this strip that continues the pattern. So there's that one. So this one, I stamped the trees. The words didn't quite fit, but I was fine with the happy birthday going over the designer paper. And this time I have the designer paper all in a row. But I wasn't too happy with seeing just a partial word there. I like seeing the trees because there's trees on there. This has a little bit of trim and some metallic pearls. That one. This one has a little bit of, that's older ribbon. These are the pastel pearls. And this one has a little bit of watercolor on it. And down here I was trying to find a stamp that was similar to this thistle stamp. And that is from Rest, Relax, Enjoy, right here. And then the greenery is from the same set. And this one is done on Mossy Meadow. Then this one, oh, I had fun with this one. So this one you could see the whole scene. And I stamped directly on here. There's no word label. I used a little bit of older ribbon just as an accent. And these pieces, you're like, what is that? See the sparkle in them? That is from, I'll show you here in a minute. Diamond art. I did a few diamond art and I was about to throw these out and I thought, wait a minute, those are perfect. So I used some of these finally. I've given so many away and I'm finally getting a chance and giving them a try to use. This was a Christmas diamond art from Jackie. And you could tell that there's white, black, and red. But I used a lot of the white, and then there's some kind of copper clay color in there for his boots. And I used it right on here just to add a little bit of sparkle. And that's the first time I've ever figured out, how can I use these beautiful little gems? So this one might be my favorite. And this is what inspired it all, was I need sympathy cards. And you know, if nothing else, if you get the package of paper and maybe a package or two, or like the assorted Regals cardstock or any cardstock, And there's so many colors that go with this package of paper. But you can make, there's 48 sheets in the designer pack of paper. You can make 48 of these. And a lot of you, I've heard, I don't want to do sympathy cards. I know it's not fun to do them, but when you need them, you so appreciate if you had this in the drawer and you could pull this out and use it. First of all, you're proud of it, and it perfectly fits. You could use it for boy birthdays. Like I made this one thinking about my son. Love you. I mean, that's all that's to it. Or you could even use it if somebody isn't feeling well. But this is what brought about this whole project. Then there's this one in Moody Mauve. You Are Loved. And these are some old embellishments that I haven't used. Mostly because there's a hole in the sequin, and I'm thinking, that's just wrong for a card, but somehow it works perfectly here. And a little bit of watercolor on the inside writing area, and no words on the inside. The You Are Loved can go for so many different greetings, occasions. And then finally, this one, this is the very first one. Feel Better Soon. This one is in Petunia Pop. And a little bit of watercoloring. So there, are you overwhelmed, or are you thinking, I could get a package of paper and I could do this? It really is easy, and it's almost too easy that I feel guilty and I need to add on more. Some of the later ones, I kept on adding on more and more stuff, but you don't need to. It's beautiful. So I'll set all these off to the side. We'll try a little watercoloring today and the spritzing. Okay, so things for today. Let me go through the stamp sets and the dies. Stamp sets, Rest, Relax, Enjoy for these two stamps. Unbounded Love, because all the words in here are lovely and will fit just about any occasion. Encircled in Nature is mostly for this tree. I was wanting to use some of these others, but because they're kind of the rounded shape for Encircled in Nature, they didn't quite work. But it has nice words in it too. These words here are the ones I did on the card where I just stamped right onto the designer paper. Lifetime of Love is mostly for the love you. I planned on using this sprig, but it just didn't work out. These flowers aren't pictured in the designer paper, so they don't work out. But the love you is perfect. The dies, using something fancy. Stitch So Sweetly, which is retired, but any size label for the words that you have that works, that's perfect. And then Everyday Details for another word label. Okay. So what we have over here is today's project. I want to use Pretty Peacock. I want to use more of the dragonflies or the swallows. The pastel pearls. I'm thinking of going in the blue Pretty Peacock direction. Tear tape is great if you're sticking down ribbon. Here are the paper cut sizes. And here is my little template for cutting out the paper. And I kind of messed up on it, but down here, it's supposed to say remove 1 inch. At first I had it as 3/4 of an inch, not thinking that there is the crumb cake border. But we'll go through this in just a minute as we cut one out. So here's the package of paper. So when you look through this, look how pretty that is. It's hard to cut it up, but it's nice to capture the whole beautiful scene on a card front. And that's all you need, just because it's not busy, but there's plenty to look at. But look how pretty these are. That's the one I did with the diamond dots, little gems. That's pretty. And I think any of these you could use as sympathy because it's just a scene. Or boy birthdays. Oh, I kind of like that one. Let's set that one off to the side. I don't think I did that one. This one I did the first sympathy with, and that worked out beautifully. That one is nice too. They're all nice. And the back side is just without such a strong scene. just kind of watercolor wash. There's one of them that has a little bit of a scene on it. This one here. So on this side, it has that, but this side has that. Okay, so let's use this one. And the first step is to cut off 1 inch. And this one, to me, it's obvious. I'm going to cut it off the bottom. But when you have something like this, it's like, oh, where do I cut it off? You don't want to cut off the top of the trees. So it kind of has to be there. And some other ones, you're like, well, this one I guess cut off the top. This one the top. But you can do a little bit, oh, this one for example, I cut off maybe a 1/2 inch down at the bottom and a 1/2 inch at the top. Just because it was so pretty and I wanted the flower centered. But in the end, let's cut off 1 inch. So we'll start with that. 1 inch goes off. And you could use that. That's a lot of fun. Okay, and then here's the little template. The first panel is going to be 3/4 of an inch. The next panel is going to be 1 1/4. And then you'll have remaining 2 inch piece. And if you can, do them right in order. Just because on one of them I did 2 3/4, 2 inches, and 1 1/4, it's like it doesn't work. It doesn't work for the card. It kind of messes up the scene. Okay, so 2 3/4, 1 1/4, you're left with 2 inches. Okay, so that's it. So we still have our little scene going on. Okay. And so we're done with the template, and I'll take a picture of the template. So the other pieces, oh, let me show you this bucket. I've been collecting pieces in the bucket. Anything, ribbons that I have, some of them are old, that might match. I've got them here. Paper, it's like which one, well that should be a next step. Which one should go with this? I'm thinking either the peacock or the misty moonlight. Let's go with misty moonlight. Yeah, that's pretty. And then the peacock, I'll pull that color in by using the ribbon. Okay, so we have that. Different ribbons. Here's the little dots. Then here's pieces. And then this I have the bling. But I think I already pulled out, yeah, I pulled out bling already. I pulled out double bling. Woohoo! Okay, so in here, these are the remaining pieces needed to make this project. So the base, let's start there. The base is 5.5 by 8.5. Fold it in half. 20 some. Okay, and then take this part, fold it in half. Bo, you get to wait. Just wait. He'll be right here. I know. You have to wait. Okay, then the crumb cake, this piece here, that's going to go on that with this. The crumb cake is cut to 5 1/4 by 3. The designer paper was on the template. That's cut to 5 by 2 3/4. So let's attach those. I should think about how I want to do the ribbon, because a few times, well, let me show you. A few times I wrap the ribbon around. This one I wrap the ribbon around. Maybe do that. I should figure out what I'm going to do with the ribbon, huh? Then this one is just under the word label. This one has a little flag. This one is just a strip. I wonder how that would look. That might look good. Okay, maybe that one. This one is Ziggle Zaggle. Ooh, Ziggle Zaggle might be good too. But I'm doing Sympathy. So maybe it will just be a little, well, okay, Ziggle Zaggle or across the bottom. This one just has the ribbon over there, and that one is Ziggle Zaggle. Okay, so either way, it's okay to stick it down now. If it was going to be wrapped around a few times, then I would need to think about that now. Is this the right piece? Yeah, it is. It just throws me off because this one goes here. And then there's this one. The little one is the middle. So yeah, that's right. Okay, so then put on the crumb cake piece. What's he doing out there, Bo? Why does he take so long? Oh no. He's talking in mom talk. Okay, okay. Hold on, you could go. Okay. There you go. Okay, so we got through those pieces. So the inside crumb cake paper is 5 1/4 by 4. The inside white is 5 by 3 3/4. And the words, I just have scrap strips of paper just to cut out the words, but I did a whole bunch in advance. So just anything that the die will fit on. Okay, so let me hold these up. So if you want to make this, you could do a screenshot. See, this is an easy whole bunch of cards to fill up your box of cards. Okay, so we went through the paper sizes, JilliBling and bit. Let's do some watercoloring on here. So to do the watercoloring, first of all, this, well, I could stick that one down. That just gets stuck on the inside. To continue the pattern, that can go here. And I'm going to put it a bit close to the crease. I could have it that equal distance away, but when you open it up, I could have it in a little bit, but when you open it up, it's a little bit more continuous. So now the question is, where do I want to put, that goes together. Do I want to put this here? I'm thinking over here, just because when the card is closed, it's nice to see that, how it continues. If I put it over here, when the card is closed, it covers it up, and then you'd see the little bit of watercoloring. I think it's better this way. Therefore, let's do some watercoloring on here. So to do the watercoloring, I have 2 of the misters. One of them I put, can you see that one's a little bit kind of foggy? This one here I put some Wink Stella, I squeezed the bottle and I put a few drips in there. So this one is sparkly, this one is plain. So I want to do sparkling. So I'm going to start out with just a little bit of water so that when I put the ink on it, I should probably get that ready first. The ink will flow easy. So I have a couple of blocks, and I plan on using Misty Moonlight, Pretty Peacock, and Old Olive. If I were to take my water painter and go directly into here, I would get kind of a white absence of ink. So I like to put the ink right on a block, and that also helps me with controlling how much ink I get on my project. And then lots of olive. Little baby block of olive. Okay, we are set. This is ready. Okay, so I'm going to focus on doing it on this side. So when you do your spritzer, check where it's going to spray, because you don't know how many times I've spritzed. And even if you don't get good coverage on your paper, you could take your aqua painter and make sure that there's good coverage. Because I'm using regular paper, thinking about what color these are in. It's going to kind of roll up a little bit. It'd be better if I used watercolor paper, but I didn't want the thickness of watercolor paper on here. And I'm fine if it kind of balls up a little bit. And the paper naturally curves when it gets wet. And I'm looking at the colors on the designer paper for Misty Moonlight, Pretty Peacock, and Olive. You need more water. Just give your water painter a squeeze. Oh, that's really balling up. It's because I've been talking, waiting too long. If you do it a little bit fast, it doesn't ball up too much. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry. And if you can, let it dry and maybe put some a heavy block, like these blocks on top of it to dry after it has its initial dry. Because if I put them right now, it would, because it's very wet, it would smear my, I'll put it over here because I know, but this picks up a little bit of the ink and it kind of smears it. So just let it dry a bit, like maybe for 2 or 3 minutes, and then put it under heavy blocks and it will dry flat. And come to find out, if you don't let it completely dry and have it flat, it will kind of warp your whole card. So I'm going to set this for just a few minutes, then I'll put the blocks on it. And I have this one that I had the blocks on overnight. So it's still a little bit curved, but when I put adhesive on it, it will flatten it out. And because it's completely dry, it won't continue to curve, and it won't curve the card. Okay, that can dry. So that's going to see the sparkle in it too. Love that Wink of Stella. That will go just like that. And this would be the time you could stamp on it. Try not to stamp on it when it's in this state, because then your words will smear. Like, that one is okay. This one, my the words friend smeared just a little bit because I didn't wait quite long enough. Okay. So, what else to put on here? So the words, let's choose words. How about, because I want that with sympathy. How about, it's nice to have all these done. That one fits. So do that one. Then, this could be in the inside, same words again. So let's stamp the sympathy on here in probably Moonlight, Misty Moonlight. Or should it be black so it stands out? Thinking, well, how did that one look? That stands out plenty. So Misty Moonlight with sympathy. Oh, it's a little crooked. Well, try one more time. That's about the same. I think I'm thinking it's crooked because the word sympathy goes uphill. that how it really is? It does kind of go uphill. Okay, well, both of them are good. And this is going to go on the inside. Since I have the ink ready to roll. So I'll put that. I guess I could put it anywhere because it's not going to be seen once the card is closed. So I'll put it right there in the old olive. That's a snug fit. Okay, that is set. Is it just about assembling? Oh, it's 10 o'clock. My Roomba is out. If she comes near, I'm going to have to get her because she's noisy. Okay, so let's start sticking this together. So this will go on, and because it's still a little bit warped, I'm going to be a little bit generous with the glue. Not so much in the quantity, but see how I'm doing ziggle-zaggle back and forth? I want some good coverage. Maybe Tony will come back in and he'll get that Roomba. She's noisy. I redid all of her parts. Oh, so Tony, before he comes in, this is so funny. He is still on leave because of his hip, but he's doing really well. He's back to doing everything out in the yard. And Max, he works for the city. He's like, well, hey, come over and help cleaning up the cemetery. So Tony's like, yeah, I want to do that. So the funny story is, years ago, all these neighbors, these people, the boys, the guys, were like, okay, Saturday is the day. And they would get on their riding lawnmowers, and from every corner, every street, at 10 o'clock, came all of these lawnmowers, and it was like a lawnmower parade. They'd be driving down the road, off to the side, cars would be going by, beeping, just because they think it's a parade. But there would be like 6 or 7 lawnmowers going to the cemetery, and they're going to cut the grass in the cemetery. But in the meantime, years gone by, the city has hired someone to do that, and there's a maintenance person, which is great. But today, I don't know what it was, but Tony's like, yeah, we're going to go and we're going to work on the cemetery. I'm like, are you all going to drive your tractors like you did back in the day? He goes, well, no. He goes, I'm just going to do weed eating. But just the thought of all of them going out there doing that is just kind of funny, and it's awesome. But when they go out there, they're serious. But I guess they can't really talk to each other because they all have their own tractor roaring. But he just came back from doing that. Him and his weed eater. He does some good weed eatering. But they could only do it until 10 today because of the fire restrictions. So he's back. So to do ziggle-zaggle, notice I put more dimensionals on here than are needed. I probably needed, some people do too. I probably naturally would do maybe 3, okay, maybe 5. Okay, just a little bit generous. But now that they're on there, now I could take whatever ribbon or fiber or linen thread or whatever you like, and I could control the look of, that's too short, that's too long, how I put the ribbon on here. Because you can easily lift it. Let me look from the front. Okay, and I'm mostly looking at this piece to equal somewhat equal. I don't want it to be like perfection. Equal that piece. and then I'll trim the ends once it's on the card. But I like how that looks. And because there's a bit of a blank space, I'm going to put it right here. And the question is, do I put it in the middle of the card, or do I put it just on this panel? Because I have little dimensionals all the way to the edge, I'm going to put it right here. That was another thing I did different. This one is centered on that panel. This one is more midpoint on the card. This one is off to the center, so therefore centered on the card. This one is way over off to the side. This is the one stamped directly on the designer paper, and if you do that, just beware, because the designer paper is already kind of saturated with color. When you stamp on it, it might not come out as clear and rich and dark as you'd like. I ended up using my little fine point black marker, and you can get these online, micro 002, and it is like as thin as a hair, which is very convenient because I traced over some of the words that were just a little bit too spotty. Okay, and this one, the words are just hanging off to the edge a little bit. So I think those just want to stay there. I keep pulling them and I'm using them as examples. Okay, make nice little edges. Okay, now some bling. I have double bling. Okay, I wanted to use the kind of the bluer tone ones. Now put 3 of these on. Oh, those are nice. They just kind of blend in, but they definitely are a little sparkle. And see, that's another thing. When making sympathy cards, do you make it for the person who has passed or for the recipient? I don't know. And then you probably shouldn't make them like with rhinestones on it and bling on it, because somebody isn't in the mood to be seeing pinks and bright oranges. They're more like somber, which is why this card is perfect. But I never know how much to put on there. I'm going to put a swallowtail, just like if someone passed, they're going off to lovely, peaceful places. Just like that. Okay, is this the simplest card you've ever seen me make? But it's still appealing, it's still beautiful. And just think, that package of 45 sheets, 45 or 48? I threw away the paper. I think it's, oh no I didn't. 48 sheets. You can have your stash built up very easy, very quick, and it's so much fun. Each one is its own little work of art itself. Okay, so I will put a list of all the products to use in the description of the video, and I'll put pictures of all of these on my blog, which is JilliBling.com. And in July, any $50 order you place, you get a $5 coupon for next month, which will be emailed to you. Awesome. Free shipping was yesterday, but because there were so many computer glitches, Stampin' Up! Extended it one day today. So this is a great time to order. If you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator. And if you could, if your order is under $150, if you could use this host code, I'd greatly appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.